Well, welcome everyone to a new week here of the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I am your host, Matthew Long. Thank you all for tuning in wherever you tune in at. I know a lot of you are over on YouTube Live right now or watching the show over on YouTube. I very much appreciate that. I know there's been some trouble with some of the statistics over there. It's Google. If it's messed up, they're not going to fix it. Sorry. That's how it works. It's Google. They're the biggest dog in the yard. Why would they have to move over to take a crap? They don't. Anyways, thanks for the loyal listeners over on Blog Talk Radio. We are going on almost 5 years of this show here on Tuesday nights called the Cold Hard Truth, and our newest categories and listeners all come over from Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud. We're syndicated, simulcast about just about anywhere we can be. If you found somewhere where you haven't heard us yet and you'd like to hear us there, hey, I love to listen to your show, but all I listen to is this app. Can you figure out how to get your show on that app? And I will tell you, absolutely I will. So, great show lined up tonight. Ezekiel Elliot. Oh, Ezekiel Elliot. Yeah, he'll be a part of that show tonight. No, he won't be on the show. He wouldn't like to have the conversation on the show that we would have on the show. So he won't be on, that I know of. But if he wants to call in, 347-237-5539. Remember to call in live, as always. It hasn't changed in almost 5 years. It's right there. Feel free to tweet at the show or hit us up on Messenger during the show. The handle for the show is at the CHT on Sports. You can reach me at Matt Long Sports, and our usual co-host Kevin Krest. You can reach him at Kevin Krest. Trying to keep it simple for people. One guy we'll get into a little bit later on tonight is Adrian Peterson. He doesn't seem to be trying to keep it so simple for people. And one telltale sign is that is Lacy signs with the Seattle Seahawks. And it's not a bad contract. Not at all. I don't know why. People seem to sit back and say, oh, well, he was just the most signable player that's available. I don't know. I think Jamal Charles is pretty signable. He didn't sign with the Texans because he didn't pass physical. What portion of the physical he didn't pass, I'm not sure. They don't make that available to us in the media. It's medical information, so they don't have to make it available. Even when they report injuries in the NFL, they have to report it to a certain degree. Doesn't have to be terribly detailed at all. Just they can say lower body injury or leg injury. They don't have to be specific at all. So, but Eddie Lacy's contract was so bad. I mean, this past offseason we've seen quite a few guys, veteran guys. We've actually seen some pretty big names this year in free agency, and not all of them are really all in dough. You know, Adrian Peterson's probably the biggest name out there so far. 1 year, $5.5 million is what Eddie Lacy signed. So Adrian Peterson, after coming off roughly, out of give me the stats thing right there. Stats thing. Okay. So from 2007 to 2010, you got by minimum of 1,200 yards a season, minimal injury, big injury in 2000. At the end of 2011, you missed your 1,000 yards by 30. Still a good season. And you still miss like a quarter of the season, it seemed like. Come back from an injury in 2011 to rush for 2,097 yards, among the highest in league history. So he's going to break it the next year. He said he was going to run for 3,000 yards, something, or 2,500. Yeah, it was 2,500 yards. The following season, he gets 1,266. Not surprised. That's pretty much what he's averaged every single season. And then the next season gets hurt, comes back, runs for almost 1,500, 14 and change, gets hurt. So there's this pattern. 3 major injuries, indictment and charges at least on child abuse, revolving around him whipping his son with a switch. And at this point in your career, I mean, 10 years in, that's a lot for a running back. A decade in the league for a running back is a lot. Where was that at? The franchise tag number for running backs, again, after 10 years and 3 major injuries, some off-the-field issues, over the age of 30. Does he still have miles on him? Maybe. But the question is can he go out there and necessarily perform at all? It's, can he perform to that high level? And right now, I'm asking, for, it's pretty ludicrous. Right now, running backs, the franchise tag for running backs, 789. I don't know what his number is, but it was more than 5,500 per year. So it's tough to sit back and ask for that kind of money, having some significant injuries, most specifically over the past few years. He's had one true full season since 2011, and that is not really something, teams want to put money down, So my question is, if we have Eddie Lacy signing for 5.5 for 1 year, obviously for 1 year he's not the solution, but the league has found that it is much easier to find skill players, be it wide receivers or running backs, than it has been in years past, and there isn't necessarily a need to go out and spend $11, $12, $13 million on a feature back in most cases. He was a once-in-a-generation player, but his generation of playing is more towards the latter than the former. He's on the downhill slope. Now, he would argue, out of all the seasons I've had, full seasons, 12,000 or 1,200, was it 1,266 yards is the least I had, and that was 2013. 2015, I went up for almost 1,500 yards, almost 1,310, almost 1,409. 8 was 1,760, and then 1,341 his rookie season. And so it's to say he would go out and get you 1,200 yards. I don't think that was too much of a stretch. And here's that was kind of telling that it was just too much. It was just too much. Darrell Bevel is the offensive coordinator in Seattle for the Seahawks. Now, he has history with Adrian Peterson because he was the offensive coordinator of the Vikings from 2006 to 2010. So he was there as part of the coaching staff that drafted Adrian Peterson, and for every year he was there, it was almost 1,300 yards a season, 10 plus touchdowns a season. So you'd think that the chemistry and what would work out there would work really well in Seattle, and he'd probably see 1,200 plus yards there. But clearly they're asking for much more than that. So I'm wondering, how close does he want to get to some sort of a max number? He may feel good, and he may feel like he can do it, but in the course of the last 3 years, you've only had one full season, and the other two just were a couple games in, you're done, you know? And that's what people are worried about. That's what teams are worried about. Do I invest $5, $6, $8 million into a guy that may be able to give me 1,200 yards, maybe 10 touchdowns? Because if he's played a season, in seasons where he's rushed for 970 yards or more, he's had 10 touchdowns or more. But he starts out pretty slow with the touchdowns. I mean, in both seasons that he got hurt early in the season, he had 0 touchdowns in those seasons. So, and he started out pretty slow on the line of scrimmage. Now, the Vikings, you can't blame. Look what they did. Minnesota Vikings basically moved on from Adrian Peterson probably before they planned on moving on from Adrian Peterson. The guys that they have on the team, as far as running backs, they weren't high draft picks or guys that you sit here and think, this is a Adrian, this is his place right here. But these are guys that, you know, you have to fill out a depth chart. You want to get the best talent available when you can. So the whole goal in mind wasn't for them to go and find Adrian Peterson's replacement by any means. Jarrett Kinnan. I mean, were we looking for that one? That was is that a guy that people are really clamoring after? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, George Sutton, he was there available the entire draft for everybody. He's an undrafted player. They signed him. Was that good scouting? Maybe. You know, I mean, the agents, seeing as your agent. There's another thing, you know, your high school guys that listen to this, college guys that listen to this, your agent, and get this, your agent, if you don't pick the right agent, your career may never get off the ground. You may not get opportunities that you should get, okay? Massiata. Was he, you know, out of Utah? Was he? He did get drafted, and I liked him in the draft. But Adrian Peterson, still very effective over the Latins. So to sit here and say that Adrian Peterson, or for Adrian Peterson to sit here and say, you know, $5, $8, I mean $10 Why? Why? Why would I overpay? Why overpay? Doesn't make sense. I don't see the value in overpaying. Most don't. So, I'm gonna bring. Let me welcome my co-host Kevin Krest. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing there?
Oh, I'm doing good. Been a long week, and it's Tuesday. Get the kids out on spring break. Non-stop. So I was talking a little bit about Adrian Peterson here. I feel that he is basically pricing himself out of the market. That's very likely. Oh, he's had two max. Yeah, he's had two really. He's had because he was in he got in the league because he was a first round, a top pick in the draft. And he was in there before they put all those cap rules, all the rules on how much rookie contract can be. So he got a large rookie contract, then got a close to max deal after that, one of the highest paid running backs after that, and got one more after, because his second contract came after, just a little after, the 2,100 yard season. Yeah. Yeah, there's room for ad lib. Yeah. Well, I mean, most athletes don't get to the second deal, let alone a second big deal. He's fortunate enough to be good enough at his position that he got a second big deal. But yeah. Two. Yeah,
talks about it, right?
absolutely.
They will notice that. They get it. They understand this. So if I'm going to take, if I make it, I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to take it, but I'm going to take it, so I won't take the risk. I'll go something else or whatever amount of time I left to spend like $20 million in the bank. That's my, that's, and, you know, I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't have a problem with the NFL setting their career for guys. The people coming in behind the scenes, I have no problem with that. If guys retire healthier, live longer, you know, if they're not doing television in their 50s, 70s, or might be on the NFL, especially where they want to, I have no problem with that. Let them go. I have no problem with that.
You know,
I criticize Adrian Peterson. You want to go to the end at some point in time, you walk away.
yeah.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's a dangerous sport. I think we've increased the danger. And I don't agree with that. And, you know, for me, I have to
Mm-hmm.
call. He's trying to get the most that he can get. He makes it to the wall. Good for him.
And he's made almost in 10 seasons. He's made almost $95 million. So that's probably pretty accurate. Probably more than we will combined ever make in a lifetime. That's I'm still gonna.
That's his problem, right?
Yeah. You know what he might be doing? He might just be waiting it out because inevitably before the trade deadline, we have till July. I mean, we have a while. Figure that out, or not in July. I think. They have till if he's a free agent. Actually, they can sign him all the way through the season. They can sign him. But he can just wait it out. Inevitably, he's probably thinking, I'm going to ask for a crazy amount of money. If they pay me, I'm going to go play. If not, then I'm not. And but I think what he's trying to hedge his bet on is year after year, there's always a team that seems to kind of get in a position. Tampa might have been that team last year that got in some sort of a position where, you know, they're really in need for running back help. And they signed Ezekiel Elliot, or not Ezekiel, they signed Jacquizz Rodgers last year, and it ended up working out for him. He was actually a more productive running back than Doug Martin, and they re-signed him this year. I think it was a 3-year deal. So it's not. If he wants to play, I think he's overpricing himself. He doesn't understand his value in the market. I'm waiting for this to come up. SpotRec has a little calculator for players to kind of indicate where their current market value is at. SpotRec has Adrian Peterson's current market value at, if it will pull up, $4.5 million, which is $1 million less than what Ed Lacy just got from the Seattle Seahawks. And over the course of AP's career, there's only been 3 years where he's made over $4.5 million, and it was the year that he got his first big deal, which he made a little over $20 million, and then his last contract that he got, and he was making between $12 and $4 million a year. Yeah, it probably is tough for him saying, yeah, I've had bad luck over the last 3 years. I've had 2 bad injury seasons over the last 3 years. But I can show what I've done. He bounced back from his ACL injury at the end of 2011, rushed for almost 2,100 yards. Comes back the next season, has an issue. I think he rushed for 70-some yards, no touchdowns. Season after that, almost 1,500. And last season, nothing going, hurt, out, and no touchdowns. Again, about 70 yards, and that's it. Now he's a free agent, and it's probably tough to swallow. Why would I play for a third or a quarter of what I've played for in the past? That's probably just what his mindset is, but his ways he's dealt with his finances, I don't know. I know he has a lot of kids. From what I've read, and they're by more than one person. So I would estimate that a good chunk of the money goes to them. So I don't know how much of that $95 million in cash he actually saw. I mean, the government takes what, 48% of it? Out of that, he has to pay his agent the what? 5 points? 5%? Yeah. So, there's that. And then minus child support for 19 kids. I mean, he's still living better than us, regardless. $10 million over 10 years, so $1 million a year. Yeah, over the course of 10 years. He should be. What do you think his, yeah, endorsements, that was cash earnings. Fine stats, it doesn't have endorsements on here. I thought Spot Rec had endorsements. Yep, Chuck Soup. Yeah. Look at Frank Gore. Frank Gore, pretty much his entire career in San Francisco, his last 3 has been in Indianapolis. So I mean, it's, the thing is with Adrian Peterson, yeah, he's 30. Okay. Can you live with that? I think teams can live with that. And without a doubt, if the blocking is there, he'll. I think if you want 10 touchdowns and 12 yards, I think he's probably good for that. But what is that worth? According to most people, that's a $4 to $5 million contract. That's really where that's what that's valued at. But again, maybe you hit the nail on the head there. Maybe it is that he doesn't. Maybe he feels like he's done. That he can intentionally price himself out of the market to say, hey, I would have played if they would have paid. If that, I don't know if maybe that is it. I don't know. We will see. Well, what is it? If his goal is to play, he's pricing himself out. That's the issue. Like, yeah, I'm just saying that's a. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, would love to. But there's a difference. No. The thing is, but I don't think he has leverage. I don't think he has leverage to ask what he's asking. He retired with contract left. I think he had 2 or 3 left on his contract. He gave it all back. He had to. Well, arbitration, they settled it. So most of that, he gave it all back, basically. But he was done, you know? If Adrian Peterson, you know, because, like out of the last 3 seasons, he's really only played 1 season of football. Maybe that is the issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. You know, if he's asking 5.5, he's asking what Lacy. See, even if he asks for higher, if Eddie Lacy gets 5.5, a younger back, he should be able to ask for 5.5 or 6 or somewhere right around there, just above that. But if he's asking for 10 or 12, see, I don't know what that number is. But when you see the situations like Darrell Bevel's, obviously it was a big situation for him in Seattle, and he walked out of there, and they were really looking for backs. They brought in Jamal Charles, Eddie Lacy. I hear that they're going to bring Jamal Charles back again, even after signing Eddie Lacy. So they might end up signing them both. We don't know yet. Jamal Charles clearly had some issue with the Texans. He didn't pass their physical. We don't know what that portion of the physical was. It's not made available to us, but he didn't pass the physical there. That's the only reason he doesn't play for the. He's not going to be showing up to camp for the Texans. That's it. That's the only reason. So I don't know. We don't know. But it seemed to be a really good situation because, and that's the offensive coordinator that drafted him. He spent basically his first full contract with, got his first big deal with. They had good chemistry there in Washington, and that's something that, as far as running backs, have been missing over the past year or so in Seattle. So that seemed like it was a really good fit, but they signed Eddie Lacy, a guy that's struggled to be consistent, to make weight, show that he has the passion for the game, is somebody that wants to be there. I mean, he's let himself in 2 seasons get overweight. He lost some weight, came back last year. Wasn't anything spectacular, got hurt, and then we end up seeing, a guy that's a wide receiver playing a lot of snaps at running back. So, it's tough to really say. But all I'm saying is, if the goal is to start out the season in a camp somewhere and play football, is the number, I think the number is too high and he's going to price himself out. If the whole goal is just to get the most out of people and just play a waiting game, because, inevitably there's going to be that team that really does need someone, and maybe they'll overpay for him, and that's also a strategy. So, but that's not what I'm considering as far as him pricing himself out. I think he's priced himself out if he's trying to play one. That's the criteria I'm putting out there. I think he's priced himself out in that sort of a sense. Otherwise, he would have signed. He would have signed in Seattle. They have a quarterback. They have some role players. They have an offensive line and a defense. They were there again, playing the Seahawks. Seahawks were again. They were playing the Falcons. They were in the playoffs. They're very consistent in that matter. And Adrian Peterson, probably what keeps him going, what would make him want to play is a ring. He's never played in the Super Bowl. Yeah, there's time. But the thing is, alright, well, that's a good segue. Let's get into something that does matter from the guy that basically, in some people's mind in Dallas, took Adrian Peterson's seat at the table. Ezekiel Elliot, in trouble this past Sunday at a pre-St. Patrick's Day celebration, top down. She didn't seem to mind then. He tried to do it a second time. She slapped his hand. From his agent, they said they hung out after the parade together with friends and stuff. So there doesn't seem to be some sort of an issue with what he did from her end. But I think this presents a pattern with him of behavior that just is really alarming. I mean, in the last 26 and a half months, okay, he's been in a car accident and cited for driving without a license. He was named as a suspect in a domestic violence report. Again, he was not arrested. The league is still going through that investigation. It has not closed out yet. They have not decided if they were going to punish him or not for it. And then he gets in another minor car accident in January, and now this. So it's thing after thing after thing. He seems to not keep his name out of headlines for negative things off the field. Now, again, this could be just him being young. I mean, he's 23? So, congratulations, you finally have a frontal lobe. How much of it's working right now, we don't know yet, but it's there. But this is something, because it should be concerning to the Cowboys, because it's a pattern. Because we all know the best predictor of someone's future is past behavior. So, again, is this something that he still has 3 years left on this deal? Is this going to stop him from getting another deal? Are we going to see him regress this year? It'd be tough to see that with probably one of the best offensive lines in football. But what is this sort of stuff? Do you think? How do you think this act? How does it really play out for him? Is this just another thing that gets overblown in the media, or what do you think ends up of this? We got 3 hours to fill. We gotta change topics. Nobody wants to listen to 3 straight hours of March Madness. Exactly. That was, you know what? I was so excited when I saw that because that was such like an NBA type move. And like, oh, why would they trade it for that contract? Because they had the cap space available to do that and then just dump him, or they could keep him. It didn't matter because either way, they tried to get some pieces for him, and they got something besides him anyways. They got paid to take him. Why not? You can just dump him. We'll get something in the long run anyways. So I thought it was brilliant. I'm surprised that more GMs don't do stuff like that, you know. But you know, they seem to have some cap space, and that's what's important to be able to do stuff like that. Chase Daniels, just want to kind of nail in on some other stuff here with the NFL. Just a year after signing a big deal, $7 million+ deal per year with Philadelphia, they terminated him today, and they plan on bringing back Nick Foles to be the backup there. So, do you think the Phillies front office is maybe a whole lot smarter than anybody gave him credit for, and Chip Kelly was just really a shitty GM, or what? Because they brought in Darren Sproles. They got rid of Chase Daniels. Now they're bringing back Nick Foles. They were actually able to get rid of and get compensation for getting rid of Bradford. They got Wentz, and they seem to be having some sort of some playmakers kind of there. Do you think that they've been, over the last year and a half, do you think they've done an admirable job of just recovering from Chip Kelly?
Well, yeah, I think they have. And a good friend of mine actually is an Eagles fan. But the problem is they should be giving Chip Kelly GM responsibility to begin with. The guy comes to college and they can give GM. I mean, that's Chip Kelly's good football coach.
With Andy Reid's players, he took the guys that Andy Reid had and went 2012, and then got rid of Deshaun Jackson, then got rid of Shady, and it just, if he was just coaching them and had the there, I know, but that's the thing is he was given the GM role. I think he overstayed. He put way too much on his plate at the beginning. He thought that I want to have the GM role and I want to be able to have the 53 the way I kind of had in college. I managed 120, 110 players there. This is 53. I mean, what's the deal? And I know, I've seen, I coached this long in college. I saw all the guys come through college. I pay attention to the post, and there's other guys around me to help facilitate guys we bring in. But, that's the thing is, I think he was just a bad GM. I wouldn't take it away from him as a coach. He wasn't a good GM. Yeah. Well, also those terms that we got Lynch over in San Francisco, who evidently isn't qualified, but I think the direction that they're heading over there seems to be pretty good. I mean, you listen to the start free agency, they haven't done anything to really spend too much money on blockbuster guys, but then again, you're not dropping major coin on guys to shake things up. You're not doing things that really make people want to facepalm, You're not face planting on that guy. You're jumping feet first. He's not doing a double barrel backflip over there. They just some simple moves in San Francisco. Simple signings, nothing to shake the meter, but I think that's a good way for them to start. Again, bringing in Brian Hoyer. I think that was a good signing for San Francisco. Shanahan knew him from when he was in Cleveland, so it's a guy that's comfortable in the system, and he's the kind of system guys to start out with. I think so. That could be a good sign to maybe they're starting out a bit more successful than anyone will give them credit for. But we can move on from NFL. Obviously, selection day was just a couple days ago for the NCAA Basketball Tournament. We actually had the first round of the NIT is on. It's on tonight, and the tournament starts here pretty soon. So, Evan, do you have a list of people that you see, of teams that you think should have made it into this extended tournament, the 64? I said, do you have a list of teams that you think maybe deserve to be in this tournament that didn't get into the NCAA tournament? Yeah. 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 Who is Northwestern? I didn't even think Dayton. I didn't even think Dayton should have entered it. That was my take on Dayton last week. But you know how it works. Everybody gets to play almost a participation medal these days. Alright. Yeah, I was, I'm sorry, there a little bit. Like, I don't necessarily think Dayton's played too high in the tournament. I mean, I don't think they're a 7 seed to begin with. They probably should have been flipped between Wichita State and Dayton. If Dayton didn't make the tournament, I would have been fine them not making the tournament. But I don't know. Again, like we were talking about last week, I think more of the major conferences should be highlighted and less of the mid-majors being able to be involved. And we see the schools really making a true run. I mean, Wichita State's played well, VCU's played well. A lot of people thought maybe they have the momentum to get in. But one thing that teams like that have, like Steph Curry, that Davidson, they got in deeper than most teams would, is when they find ways to control tempo, rebounding, shooting percentage, times at the free throw line, stuff like that, to take advantage of the small part of the game and really own them, and then have a player like a Steph Curry that can help that team rise above. When you got a bona fide NBA talent, and then you have guys, then you have a team that's able to contribute in its way, you can get the upsets, the quote-unquote upsets, or create that Cinderella situation. But most of those teams don't. I don't even think they should be in the pit. It's out of 1 versus 16 seed in the men's tournament, a 16 has never beat a 1 seed ever. 15s would be a 2 seed, but a 16 has never beat a 1 seed. I think the closest was a game went to overtime, and it was Michigan State, Harvard, I want to say, and went to overtime, and Michigan State ended up winning by 4. I was much younger at that time. So 16 seed. I don't know. Wichita State may have the best, again, because they were improperly seeded out at 10. They probably had the best opportunity to be that high-end dark horse to go farther into the tournament, just because they happen to be seeded at 10 when they should have been maybe 5 or a 7, but they're sitting there at 10. So Dayton's a 7. Dayton, if they blew Dayton out of the water, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Dayton's inconsistent, and they got lucky to get into the tournament. I don't think they're a 7 seed though. Alright. You there, Ken? Let's try, is this better? Can you hear me better now? Alright. I was commenting on Wichita State being 10 is probably everyone's favorite dark horse. And Dayton probably should have been switched of where they were, but in the grand scheme of things, a 16 seed has never beat a 1 seed. So, I mean, what's really the point of them expanding to these smaller mid-major schools if they really don't have an opportunity, and they've never shown that they could beat a 1 seed anyway? So what's the point of doing that? Let's bring in other schools that maybe have a better shot from the ACC or the Big Ten or something like that, rather than having some small school in there at a team to some directional school that's just going to get knocked out of water. You there, Kevin? Okay. Alright, I'm gonna try something different. Okay, I'm gonna try something different. Is it better? Alright, so is this better?
Yeah, it is better.
Alright. So, I don't know, maybe it was, it might be on the table. I don't know. I just called in as a guest. So, we'll try it from the cell phone. Alright, so let me backtrack a little bit. So I apologize for the technical difficulties there. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So one thing is Dayton's a 7. I wouldn't have been happy if Dayton didn't make the tournament. I said last week that they probably shouldn't be in the tournament because I didn't think they were that great. But obviously, because who they play against for the season, they did what they needed to do from the selection committee's aspect to make it in, and they're in. They're a 7 seed. I don't think they should be a 7 seed. I agree with you. Wichita State should be a high seed. Yeah. Yeah. And they lost in the first round of the beginning of the year, the Golden Classic. Yeah. 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 I think for me, uh, well, in the fact that this is probably the best chance in forever for Virginia to actually have a run at actually getting to like a Elite Eight or Final Four. You know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yours was intelligible. Evidently, mine was cutting in and out. So, I, I probably said something even more ludicrous than I would have said originally. So, you know, I agree with you in part. I think that it is an improvement for them to be. And some people would say like, okay, so that's more of an elitist or a favoring sort of view, kind of like saying, oh, way that they would look at it in college football is like, you know, that preseason ranking basically is you have to overcome the preseason ranking. You know, you're ranked and you are where you are before any meaningful football has really been placed, and it's hard to overcome that sometimes. Some might argue that, but I like what you were saying is essentially the clarity is there that hey, you know what you have to do, you know who you have to schedule, And I think anytime you're putting pressure on an athletic department to schedule tougher games, and obviously those games are going to be better for the fans, but also it's better competition for the players. Because I think the big thing that really what's missing in college basketball is that because guys tend to want to leave so much quicker, and we don't see guys stay around for so long, that if they're playing that higher level competition, regardless if it's a team like Kentucky that has 2 or 3 one and dones, at least in this way, we know what we're getting in that team. Who do you play against? Because anytime I'm ever watching film or scouting or recruiting somebody, or doing recruiting or something like that, I want to see what are you doing against high level competition, against competition that is equal or better to you, or that's equal to what you would see on the professional level. Like, how can I gauge your abilities? Where can I see you go from here? Are you a good college player? Or how do you play in situations? Is it the scheme kind of wraps around you and you have more opportunity? And if you get into the NBA, you're just going to die in the D League? What is it? And that's the kind of things I want to see. That's one of the reasons why I think I would rather see another Big Ten or ACC or SEC. Like, I'm almost rather have seen, like the Hoosiers or even Alabama. Like Alabama, I think they're like a 3 seed in the NIT. I'd almost rather see them than Iona or Eastern Tennessee State. Just simply because they come from a major conference. I know, but then again, I think that's one of the setbacks from the system. Here's the thing: it's like, yeah, yeah, it's about, mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to see Miami get Michigan State, because I thought that's one of the games that would have came up in the Big Ten ACC challenge, and it didn't. But I think that would be a very interesting basketball game, because Michigan State ousted early last year, underperformed this year, and Miami has just been really good. So. Creighton is very beatable as a 6th seed against Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it was Harvard that messed me up. Was it last year? I don't know if maybe last year or the year before, the year that Harvard won. They messed me up. I actually had Florida Gulf Coast in one of my brackets, because I do, that was the one I had a bit more of the upsets in. Actually, I think that was the same year, because I had Florida Gulf Coast, but I didn't pick Harvard to beat New Mexico. I think that's what it was. Harvard beat New Mexico. So you got Middle Tennessee over Minnesota. Is that what you're saying? You know, Seton Hall almost never gets out of the first round, even though they seem to be in almost every year. Yeah, it's so yeah. He that coach probably has the safest job, one of the safest jobs in college basketball. He makes it to the tournament. The coach at Seton Hall makes it to the tournament virtually every year. Yeah, some odd teams. Yeah, there's a lot of odd teams. I agree. North Carolina State, NC State. 5 or 7 years. That's stupid. It clearly doesn't make any sense whatsoever that they fired him. Well, it's interesting because I'm looking over the bracket here, and USF hired themselves a new coach, and I think they find in Brian Gregory have somebody that is going to be a quality head coach for them. He's taken teams to the tournament, Virginia Tech, and most recently, just a couple years ago, he was there with, actually this year, 2 years ago with Dayton. He was the head coach then at Dayton. So I look to see. I look to see things get better. You know, I'd like to see. I'd like to see when the schools in bigger markets go. I think you get more involvement in it. Maybe that's kind of the pro NFL side of me talking, but when you get those bigger market teams involved, and I think it just helps grow and expand what you see as far as the sport. Yeah, and that was their heyday. Yeah. AAC. The American Conference. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. You know, it was actually a few years back. Yeah, he's been doing a lot of recruiting for Michigan State. He was a consultant at Michigan State um, for a period of time there. His coaching with Dayton, I guess the last time he made the tournament was actually 2009. It was a little bit further back than what I thought, second round. But with Dayton, he took them in his 8 years there. He took them to the tournament twice and was in the NIT or a qualifier for 3 of those years. So, and then just this past season, I mean, 2015, 2016, just last season, you know, this year he was a consultant for, like I said, Tom Izzo over at Michigan State. But with Georgia Tech, he got to the quarterfinals with Georgia Tech. So that was in the NIT. So that was his 5-year, 10-year there. So I mean, I think it's a decent. I think it's a decent hire for them, and I think he will be able to kind of do something there that maybe some of the past couple coaches haven't been able to do. So. Mm-hmm. Well, he gets some good athletes, but I think that's kind of and I got a call on the line that I want to bring in on that, kind of weigh in on that. I think Orlando is much better when it comes to bringing in the basketball talent. I think they do a better job. There's other parts of the state that do a better job bringing in the basketball talent. I mean, there's some good athletes here in Tampa, but as far as the basketball culture, it's almost non-existent outside of those that are paying for a high school or a college. You don't get a ton of tournaments here. You don't have tons of leagues here. You know, you don't have anything that's really culturally identifying with basketball. To really find a basketball court to have pickup games, like maybe the USF campus one night a week, but it's outdoors. Maybe one of the Ys, if you're rotating one of the Ys, will have it on certain nights of the week, but it's really not. It's not to the point to where people are like, you have a lot of people that a lot of hoopers that really are going to go to that. Whereas I actually think that the basketball culture was stronger in Lincoln than it was here in Tampa, because I knew exactly where every single day of the week the best people in Lincoln, a lot of guys that would come down from UNL that played for Nebraska, or people that played for Kaplan or played for Southeast, or that played for one of the community colleges in the area would come into town, or ex Nebraska players or ex pro players that we had like Strickland. He lives in town, so he would come down. So we'd have guys like that. Like me growing up, I grew up going to the Air Park Rec, and Teron Lou was there every weekend. Teron Lou was there every single weekend. So he was somebody I played basketball with growing up. In pickup games. So, that's no. I was like 13. No, I remember that was the 90s. He's a little older than I am. But yeah, I got on the court. But no, I wasn't. I don't know. Oh yeah, and that's that tenacity too. He was like that with certain guys in pickup too. So it was, I liked seeing that. I know growing up seeing guys wanting to play defense, play hard defense, so that was important. Danny Nee was big on defense though too. So, but let me bring David from Atlanta. Let me bring him on with us here. And are you how much longer do you have, Kevin? Okay. Let me bring on David now. How are you doing tonight, David? Yeah, I can hear you. My assessment of kind of the basketball culture in Tampa versus Orlando. What do you feel was kind of accurate? Do you think there's really more talented basketball players, a better pool of players in Orlando, as far as the basketball culture and actual players that are translate versus Tampa? Or you? Yeah. 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 Well, I'm gonna. Mhm. Yeah. Do you think the Shaq effect on Orlando is similar to what the LeBron effect on Cleveland has been? Maybe not to the same degree, but somewhat similar. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It should. In hindsight, clearly that shouldn't be the case because when they lost Shaq, they lost it. They tried to get it back by having Dwight Howard, but I always thought Dwight Howard's overrated. It's funny because David, you were saying Anthony Davis is rookie. Like this dude is better and he's gonna be better than Dwight Howard, and obviously that's definitely been the case since he came into the NBA. You know, uh, I'm just interested to see what Orlando can do to kind of pull things together. I think hiring Hawkins at UCF. I think they had a decent season this year. I mean, given where they've been in the past, but you know, I like seeing Central Florida like coming back into relevance because it's not oh yeah, everybody recruits Florida for every sport, but it's not always saying that teams in Florida are always competitive, you know, in every single sport. Like the athletes leave and go somewhere else. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's also SEC country, so if it's not SEC football, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, I mean, that wasn't. I mean, Amari Stoudemire, Vince Carter. I mean, just a couple guys right there. You know, that wasn't their case. You know. Yeah. Absolutely. We'll do a whole sports blotter next week then. All right. Kevin Krest, ladies and gentlemen. If you still want to call in, there's time. 347-237-5539 is the number to call in. David, I'm really interested to get your take on LaVar Ball, because part of me again, because my question is he a man with a vision, or is he a madman? Like, is he crazy and just his head's in the clouds, or is he really see this is what's going to make, this is what successful people do, I'm going to duplicate that and run with it? And part of it, when I was hearing one thing that he was saying, it made me think, like, I could see David do this, you know? I was just thinking, like, because he's like, listen, why? Okay, LeBron comes out, he has, you know, $1 billion contract. That's his Nike contract. But the point that he made is, why would I have my sons go with Nike if I have my own brand? Because he said, watch LeBron try to take the King label, that brand, away from Nike. Watch, see if that happens. That's not going nowhere. He's not taking that anywhere. They own that. Yeah. And it's what you're saying. I own the 3 Bs. And if you want one of them, it's going to cost a B. You know? So, what's your take? What's your take on him? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You know, this isn't all unlike what some successful art, like Ludacris. This is what Ludacris did coming into the music industry. You know, DJ for years, but he created his own label, signed himself to his own label, and then his label signed the deal with Def Jam. So this way, everything goes through his company, and he makes money on it no matter what, who gets signed. So all the people he brought in would sign to his label, would sign to Def Jam through his label. So for them, it sucked because there's a lot of more fingers in the pot, but for him, it was a good business move because he had his brand and he was getting paid every step of the process. You know, and that's what I think. That's what Ball's trying to do. He's saying, "Hey, we have an opportunity right here. Why would I split it a bunch of different ways if I don't have to? I don't have to pay them to market for me because I'm getting that attention right now." You know, obviously his sons are good. And the thing is, I was listening to one radio show today. He said it's not so far fetched to get that $1 billion deal that he talked about. I mean, you look at houses, what they're worth today and what they were worth a decade ago. Is it crazy to think that maybe his son can make $100 million a year over the next 10 years or the next 15? I mean, it's not ludicrous. And yeah, I mean, his son's probably good enough to. He's definitely a lottery pick, in my opinion. Some things he's Ben Simmons-esque, and he's maybe one of those rare talents. I don't know if I can say that. I didn't think he was super outstanding. I've only seen him play a couple games, to be honest with you. So it's not obvious. I could tell he can hoop, and I can tell that he's a lottery player. To be transcendent, I'd have to see him a few more times. So I'm definitely going to be watching UCLA here this week in the tournament to see what he does here. Yeah, capital. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my question with it. What is your business? Is it the apparel company? Is it a marketing company? I mean, what do you see it going to? Yeah. 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 He'd be smart to go on Shark Tank. I mean, he could go on and want more publicity. Yeah, I know. Yeah. 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 What the question that he has to answer. You know, there's a few questions. Like, if he's going to do apparel, why this apparel over something else? Obviously, Under Armour was able to cut into an industry, just blanket cut into an industry because they had a material and that they used that was military, had a military patent on it, so nobody else could use that dry fit material. So they broke in doing that. So that was something that was huge for them. Nike is really not an apparel company as much as they are a marketing company that sells apparel. Adidas is big on soccer, but they've been able to kind of break into college football and some sponsorship deals here and there. They haven't been able to land, big anything big like the NBA or the NFL. I think if they could land the NBA or NFL for their apparel contracts, that would be something that would be major for them and could really change where Adidas is. Reebok's kind of fell off. They've been kind of forced to go into more where where it's a step above where Fila has kind of become. They do sponsor UFC, so you see their, they do have that kind of that niche right there, but it's not, again, their designers have done better too. I've always noticed that Reebok, their shoes were always ugly, especially the Shaq shoes. If we want to talk about Shaq, his Reebok shoes, they were the ugliest shoes. I swear. The ones with the circles on them, the rings. Yeah, those were ugly. The Shaq video game, Shaq Fu, that was a better idea than his shoes. I actually like the Shaq Fu video game. I used to play that on Sega. But, you know, I do, and that's the thing is I commend him for going out and doing his own thing. Now he has some limelight on it. He has a position where he can try to sell more. Obviously, if his son goes to LA or a major market team like that, that's going to be even better, particularly the Lakers. That's why he said he only wants his son to play for the Lakers. Yeah. But I know a lot of people are rubbed the wrong way by that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He sees the business side of it, and he's understanding of the business side of it. I know some people were starting to come out saying, you know, he's that unruly, overbearing father. You know, I wouldn't say that. Some people have said, you know, he's Jackson's father all over again. I wouldn't agree necessarily with that. I don't know all the details of it, but he seems to have a much different grip on this sort of a thing. He gets the industry. He has experience with the industry. He's just saying, hey, I can do what they do. I mean, that's literally what we're doing right now with this show. I don't need ESPN to do, you know, to syndicate a radio show. I can be on iHeart, I can be on TuneIn, I can be on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spreaker, Blog Talk, YouTube, which I am right now, just like them. And it probably cost me a whole hell of a lot less to do that. But also, their shows are going to have more exclusivity because they'll have a channel that's dedicated to a specific show. And that costs a lot of money to have an exclusive channel on iHeart. So those are the big differences. But just to get on there, I mean, it's not super difficult to do that if you position yourself right, if you do enough shows or have enough content. I mean, you can get on there. Sometimes it's just as simply as emailing somebody. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, obviously, we go over and watch the YouTube video of this, and I have the same opportunity in front of me with my video as you would see with a Sports Center clip. They just have a larger platform than I do. But I don't need them to get my message out. And that's the same thing that LaVar Ball is doing. He's taking advantage of social media and the marketing that's available, that you don't have to pay for or that is easily accessible, and he's putting it out there. So, you know, I don't have really any ill words for him. I was interested to see what you thought about him. I saw some commonalities. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. And they can't afford to sign anybody else along with them. Yeah. Yeah. It's been pretty quiet on him. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I heard somebody, who was it? I think Chris Broussard. I think it was Chris Broussard that said it. He said Steph Curry's would be more notable in the MVP race had he won the championship last year. Since he didn't, and Durant came in, and he kind of struggled at times in a few games this year, that now he's not in the conversation, which I get. And then on top of that, I mean, when they're looking at league MVPs, they're looking at who's scoring the most points and who's their sweetheart that year that they want to publicize. See, like Russell Westbrook has so much publicity this year because it's his first year by himself. Because Durant was the guy that had to leave and go with an all-star team and left him by himself. And then he exceeds Wilt Chamberlain's record for number of triple doubles in a season. Obviously, they're still going to end up going to the postseason. But a lot of times, we see what he does, and obviously he's one of the best in the NBA. But the question is he making people better? Is that team working with him to win games? And I don't know if you can really answer the question to yes to either of those. And I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder, what would this league be if we could get more stars in major markets? Because I think the lack of parity in the league is a problem. Maybe more people, they can manufacture. I agree. The NBA can manufacture stars, and they do. But the thing is, they have to manufacture stars for the most part, because you don't get the same quality guys from college. There's less time that they're there. Everybody wants to go out early because they've been good. My challenge to guys that are in college basketball, if you know you're really good and you can financially sustain it, and you think that degree is going to help you beyond, or you're going to learn something there, or people there that's going to make you better after basketball, I challenge you to stay. Stay, make college basketball better. But they don't. They're out of there. Because to argue on behalf of the one and done, the one thing this country doesn't need is more college graduates. We have a surplus of college graduates. We have so many college graduates that they just don't have jobs. Because now they're overqualified for the jobs that they're trying to apply for, and they don't get the jobs because they're overqualified. But, as I tell everybody, the degree doesn't get you a job, and that's the problem. People go into they call them career paths in college that aren't really career paths, studies. They go into fields of study that aren't going to produce them with the experience and skills they need to get the job. The degree helps you get an interview. It doesn't help you get a job. It helps you get an interview. You get into a job and you have a bachelor's degree, and I'm sitting there with a decade of experience, they're probably going to hire me over you because I have a decade of experience. For the last 10 years, you were in school reading books, taking tests to try to prove you know something. In the last 10 years, I proved that I knew it and did something about it and had success in it. But that's something that college doesn't prepare people for, to have skills and experience or success. It just teaches you some stuff to say, hey, fundamentally this person should understand this based on the degree because we went over it. Whether they learned it or obtained a skill or experience from it is really, you can't tell until they actually start working and you try to start training them, and then it's just like, yeah, they really don't have what it takes, you know. They don't. I'm teaching them stuff that they should have learned in school, and I know, and that's the problem is also with school. A school teaches people a lot of things that they never will use or never need to know. You know, should we retain more of our mathematics skills? Yeah, we should. We should make more of a point to understand math and science and retain it better. But you know, if you're an accountant, you don't really need the science, and if you're going to play a sport, you don't really need either. So it really depends on what the career path is. I think our primary and secondary schools do a really crap job of setting people up for success in life. You know, it's just, I think they take the approach of here's everything, pick something, and that's why they ask most students after their sophomore year of school what they want to be when they grow up, and they have no idea, and they've probably switched majors twice by then. So now I want to ask you, I've been on the tournament. They obviously it got expanded 60 or down to 64 teams really, but they have the four play-in teams. As far as the bracket goes, do you think that it's necessary to have these? Should they have these mid-majors? Should we see the Middle Tennessee Tech and schools like that even in the tournament? If there really is no chance for Winthrop to really win this thing, should they even be in the tournament? I mean, wouldn't it be better to have like another ACC team that could clearly win it, that may have a chance at winning it? Because, I don't know. I'd rather see Alabama in there than Winthrop. And they're a number 3 seed. I know, but I'm just saying it's at least then it's a school that you can pull from. They've played Kentucky. They've played some decent teams. So to say that Middle Tennessee and Winthrop and Bucknell played and they're all in the tournament, so that's a good thing. Like, how do I know? It's a bunch of small schools from small towns and small divisions that played small schools from small towns and small divisions. Like, show me what they did against UCLA. Oh, they didn't play anybody that quality. What did they do against Xavier? They didn't play against Xavier. That's what I'm saying. So the fact that these league champions get in is kind of a kick in the teeth to call it, an NCAA championship tournament. There's never been a 16 that's beat a 1. So why even have that 16 in? Yeah. No. Yeah. But these aren't like well established schools, universities, institutions that are fighting for 10, I think. Miami. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. But let's say Rutgers was on the bubble and they just made it in. But don't you think Rutgers as a market's going to bring more people in to watch than Iona? Yeah, they were probably a bad example. The thing is, like, yeah, yeah. But is it? It's a bad team, but see, that's what I'm trying to figure out is is a team like that a bubble team that from a larger market, because they do that in college football all the time. Like, you're gonna get, well, but they understand that it is, but they also want to make sure people watch. But the thing is, the NCAA tournament in and of itself is its own spectacle. More people watch the NCAA tournament than actually watch college basketball, because it kind of has that same effect as the World Cup. You know, every 4 years, everybody's a soccer fan, or I'm gonna try to watch more games. Like, the NCAA tournament's the same thing. Nobody watches the damn teams. They binge watch the stuff up for a week up to Selection Sunday, and then the 3 days following, and now they're experts on it, and they got their bracket all picked. And the thing is that filling out the bracket, I feel like when you fill out the bracket, it's almost like the lottery. Part of you's like, I'm not gonna win this shit, but if I did, that would be awesome. I would tell everyone, Well, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody. But if I won this, I would tell everyone. That's the difference. I wouldn't tell anybody if I won the lottery. Because if you lose one or two games, your whole season's done. Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing is, if college football set it up to where that you're playing higher quality teams to begin with, then it's not an issue. It's more like college basketball. Let's play the best at the beginning. If we lose, then we lose. Who cares? Oh yeah. No, you you Alabama loses a game. There's some people on suicide watch. You know that. You know that. Yeah. And in basketball, you get twice as many games too. The thing is with college football, I think that, and that's the thing is like college football is actually a lot more comparable schedule wise with its professional sport than college basketball is. It's like 3 times as many games in the NBA as there is in college, easily. Where they play almost like 26 games, depends on your schedule in college. 8, 80, 82 and yeah. Yeah. That's completely wrong mindset. That's the thing is that's why I feel like college football is they're more paper champions. I don't know. That's and then argue that your conference schedule is strong enough. That's why you shouldn't have to play. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's why it was my mentality when I was growing up to always play someone that's better than me. And even because I came into college basketball, I had to try out. And then my first, that half year, that was a walk on. I was a walk on. So I have to prove myself. But we always had time at the end of practice to where if we wanted to, before or after practice, where we could play one-on-one games. So I always made it a point to always challenge everybody on the team. And the guys that I always thought were the most versatile talent-wise, I always wanted to play them the most because they were faster than me. They could shoot better than me. I may have been taller than some of them, but it put me in a situation where now I see what they do, and it helped me understand even how other people move. Because some people just have, the abilities, the ball handling. It's just, it really does make things. They make it tough to guard them. So to understanding that, and that's the thing. I was always big on defense. I didn't score a lot. I could shoot. I really like defense better. I think it was more like, I don't know. I'd rather set a screen and knock you on your ass than have a layup. I really didn't care for the layup. I'd rather knock someone down. Maybe I should have played college football instead. Who knows? But that's it. I don't know if that is the case anymore. I don't know if the culture is to play better people. And see, that's the thing that they think that this new generation is more, let's get the best people together so we can beat everybody else, instead of, I want to play against the best people on the other team and I can't wait to play them because they have this person. You know what I mean? Because that's the way. Yeah. 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 Now, do you think that AAU is doing a lot to harm the NBA? Because I know it's got a lot of. Yeah. 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 He, even Mike Trout. He who over the last 5 years we could probably is one of the best players to come into the sport of baseball. He was in the minor leagues. Yeah, Chipper. Like, I think he was there for like a year and a half. Yeah. And that was my argument. I was talking about this last year, and I guess me and you have kind of been on the same page on this topic with the NBA needing a legitimate developmental league. Um, it, they bitch about not getting the players that they want from the NBA or from not from the NBA, from college basketball. They're coming out too quick. They're underdeveloped. They're not. It's kind of the same problem. I hear a lot of referred to quarterbacks, mainly quarterbacks in the NFL. But they're not just, they don't have the skill set or the experience. There's a lot of basics that they're missing out on, some fundamental stuff that they're not learning along the way. I think a lot of it's too much isolate drive in the lower levels. In the NBA, honestly, that's kind of what a lot of the game plan is on most teams in the NBA. Isolate and drive. But is it how many guys have that goal of winning championships in the NBA? And again, that's what sets people apart from LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, guys like that. Michael Jordan. They know what they want to be, where their end goal is. Like his goal was to be better than Michael Jordan. He didn't accomplish that, in my opinion. So he fell short, but we could say he's one of the top 5 players in NBA history. So, he didn't accomplish that ultimate goal to be the best, but he did still definitely say he was a great in the sport. So that's where is along the line that can start producing more of that. How do we get that available? And I think that's the only way that we get better quality players and better from an entertainment value. Just if players are better in the NBA, it's just going to be more entertaining. There's some guys, if it was for the fact that they're 7 feet tall, they wouldn't even be in the NBA. I guarantee. I'm pretty sure with me not playing for a while, I would probably beat them one-on-one. It's just the fact that they're 7 foot, That's why they're there. It's not real skill. It's just when you have 7 feet, you're 7 feet tall. That's harder to get around. It's just you can't teach that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm six. I'm a little over 6'2", and I was like, I don't care how much practice I put in. I don't ball handle well enough right now in college, and I don't know how much more I can learn ball handling to make it even in the semi-pro leagues. Maybe somewhere, I don't know. But it just, to me, it was just like, there's not, I don't think, again, 6'2" is not a terrible height for the NBA or for basketball, but still for the NBA, when I'm seeing, there's a lot of point guards. You see point guards 6'3", 6'6", 6'8", shooting guards 6'6", 6'7". Like, you're gonna put me in there as a 6'2" shooting guard that doesn't have some good ball handling abilities. So the ball handling, I had good footwork and I could create some separation. I just can't dribble very well, Yeah. 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 Yeah, exactly. See, that's why I should have stuck with baseball. That's why I should have stuck with baseball. Or golf. Yeah. 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 Dude, he could he's close that he could just walk on one of those IFBB stages and do a few poses. Like he's like jacked already. Yeah. Or how about boxing? Because yeah, I know, but well, the thing is that there's no privileged people in boxing. That's the thing. No, there just isn't. You don't have you don't have that heart determination. You don't have that struggle that could make you successful in boxing. Yeah, you just that's just it. That's the thing is that chip, that 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 extra motivation is so profound that that's why I say you in certain sports you just don't see privileged people in certain sports. Like MMA, yeah. I mean MMA is closer because it's a bunch of different tactics and techniques that you can use that you know it's not just standing. Yeah, it's still yeah. I know. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, the MMA. That's the thing is like MMA. Like I probably wouldn't go box. But if there was going to be a sport, like if I had to choose, I want to take a boxing or MMA, I would definitely say boxing before MMA. Just because there's more pad on the gloves, you know. Like I think overall technically it's much harder from a standpoint because you do have limitations on both sides. But at the same time, mixed martial arts, it's those gloves are just so small. It's almost like a street fight. Like having a 1 inch, you know, exactly, exactly, yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, yeah, it's let me save my life night in and night out. Yeah, it is. It's pretty twisted. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Trying to figure out what is more of a short man sport because hockey you gotta They gotta have size. Like the guys that have size always get favored in hockey. Baseball guys don't have to have so much size. I guess soccer, yeah, but I mean, if you look at some of the best players in the world, they're like 6'2" or 6'3". Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure is. Hmm. Yeah, and if you're a girl and play golf, you're guaranteed to get a scholarship. She was terrible too, probably. See, I really am not very good, but they gave me the scholarship. Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely putting my daughter in golf. I just know there's more golf scholarships available for women golfers than there are women golfers. So it's one of those things. You don't have to be a pro. Just show up. They'll pay you to show up. Get your education. Tennis, yeah. Tennis doesn't have a size requirement. Yep, there has never been a 7 foot successful tennis player. That's probably Shaq and Shaq's not going out there. Can you dig it? Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah. In Spanish we call that medio metro. It's half a meter, you know. You're only a half a meter. What the hell are you gonna do? You know? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, the problem is too often the motivation is the exception. And when if your motivation or if your degree of success has to always be the exception, then that's part of the problem. I think too many people, and I think this is kind of another way of saying what you just said, is that you know they're encouraging it more so because they're a fan of it than actually trying to find something they're going to be successful at. Selfish reasons from the parent. I don't know. I don't care what my kids play. If they can play any sport that they want to play. Obviously, if my son ends up being short, he's in like the 98th percentile. They say he's supposed to be 6'6", so he's probably not going to be short. But if he did, I would try to steer him probably to golf or bowling or something that he could, if he wanted to play a sport professionally, that he could be successful in. Like if he's only going to be 5'10", I'm not going to tell him, hey, don't play quarterback. That's what I'm going to say. Don't be a quarterback. Be a wide receiver, run routes really good, block really well, or be a safety or a corner, or something like that. And even nowadays, like corners and safeties are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". So even those size, now that the guys that are larger, taller, can be as athletic and quick, that small guy position is kind of fading away. So you want to be able to be that. You want to be able to run, catch, run routes, be agile, be able to take a hit and keep going, but also understand that there's danger in that. So if you are only going to be 5'10", get good at golf, because if the guys that if you win a major, you're pretty much set. If you win a green jacket, you automatically are, for the rest of the time you ever want to play golf, you're automatically in the major tournament. You know, even if you don't make the cut, you know, that's a pretty nice check. But you do. If you win it, you're in it. You make the cut every single time. So if you're finished last place, it's, you know, I think it's like 100,000 or something like that to be in last place. I mean, it's 100,000. You only play one tournament a year and come in last place. You make $100,000 a year. Get out of here. I mean, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't take that? And you have a nice little trophy to hang up too. So, but, all right, that's pretty much gonna do it for the show tonight. Did you have anything specific that you wanted to bring up for the show? I haven't completely filled out my bracket. I don't have to fill out. I filled out one on my mobile last night. I think it was. Let me look over. I had Villanova. I have Villanova. Let me go through here real quick. Villanova, Florida State, which I think I'm busted there already. Kentucky, and who else? I think Kansas. Can't remember if it was Kansas or Oregon. I think it was Kansas, because Oregon just had the kid that got hurt this last week, so in the Pac-12 tournament. So yeah, yeah. And, you know, the thing is, I have Miami. I would have had Miami going further had it not had that, you know, second round game against Kansas. But I think that's going to end up being a good game. I think they're going to have a good game against Michigan State, which has underperformed this year. But I think I had Miami beating Michigan in that, and then I had Kansas beating Miami. I had Iowa State beating Nevada in a close game. I had Purdue beating Vermont in a close game, and then Iowa State beating Purdue, and then Kansas beating Iowa State. Creighton beat Rhode Island in a close game, even though I honestly think Rhode Island has a really good opportunity to beat Creighton. Creighton is a beatable team. They have some okay depth, but I don't think it's great. And Rhode Island has been on a tear, so that alone might push them ahead. I don't think Iona upsets Oregon. Yeah, if Iona was never in the tournament, I wouldn't be sad or lost. I honestly have no idea where Iona is. You know, and I cover sports. Is it? I don't know. Well, New York State is definitely not in the Midwest, so we both don't know. So I would agree. It's probably in that 3/4 of the United States. It's probably in that 3/4 of the United States. I'm gonna look it up after the show tonight, just so I'm like, oh yeah, I know where that's at. Like Wichita State, I think Wichita State was pretty much a given. I think Wichita was the giveaway. I had Michigan State actually beating Oklahoma State pretty good. I don't think that's going to be a very close game. Louisville thumps Jacksonville State. What else do I have there? Yeah, this was a pretty interesting bracket this year. UCLA wins. I don't see the thing is, I have Wichita State beating Dayton. I don't even think Dayton necessarily deserves to be in the tournament, and I think Wichita State should be more so the 7 seed and Dayton should more so be the 10 or 11 seed there. But again, I don't make the brackets. Either one of them is going to end up losing to Kentucky anyways, so it's kind of a moot point. I look forward to see UCLA Kentucky because I don't think Cincy gets past UCLA, and I think that Ball is going to have to ball out against Cincy to really help that draft stock go up. Man, I kind of hope the Lakers get him. Yeah, I hope the Lakers get him. I don't know. I almost feel like, I don't know. Do you like the NBA lottery system? Yeah. 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 I think so too. Yeah, that's their shtick. It is. A half a round. It's after who's really significant after the 15th pick? Many guys? No. And to get somebody into the second round, like that's tremendous. But that also goes back to there's too many guys that are underdeveloped that come out early. You know? Just like that wasn't that whatever happened to that guy from FSU? He was like 27. He was in the military. He ended up getting drafted like the end of the first round or something like that. I think it was FSU. You know what I'm talking about? I was trying to find him. I was trying to Google it the other day. He was like 26 or 27 when he got drafted out of FSU. Trying to Google it the other day. I thought it was like, I don't know. I got into a trivia contest, like competition. What's a good trivia question? I was like, that would be it. I don't know why that just popped up out of nowhere. But anyways, all right. But that pretty much does it for the show here tonight. Be sure to tune in to the show next week right here on Blog Talk Radio, YouTube, Spreaker. Check it out on iTunes, SoundCloud, about everywhere you can listen. We'll be back this week with new shows to the half as well. That's all I have tonight. I'm your host, Matthew Long, and we're out.